What's up guys, this is Miasin. So first things first, I would like to apologize for the really bad audio and video quality. That is because I'm not home and I'm extremely stupid and forgot to bring my microphone with me. So probably going to be the only not pre-recorded video that you're going to be seeing. Everything else that you've been watching for like the past week, I've made everything in like one shot. Yeah, you've been watching a lot of videos while I was away. Anyways, again, I will be back very soon. I will be going over a couple of deck lists that people have been utilizing in the OCG. This first and then the OCG Metagame breakdown number 6 and 7. And yeah, before we go any further, y'all know the drill, smash the like, subscribe button, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this happened in Thailand. I don't really care about most of the Ryzeal deck list, however, this is very interesting. So this guy chose to play a very small Mathmech package. No Sigma because it locks you under Cyberse monsters only. So ironically, you're not even trying to draw any of the Mathmech cards in the Ryzeal deck, but rather you're just using two Ryzeal monsters to make the Alambertian. Alambertian searches the circular, and then you go circular, send the Nabla, and then the Alambertian effect tribute, revive back the Nabla, Nabla effect tribute itself, summon the diameter from deck. The circular obviously triggers to search the super factorial, and then your rank 4 turned into 2 level 4 monsters, but you also have the super factorial and you have your 3 Mathmechs in the rotation, so then you can make another rank 4 monster like a detonator. Hold on a second, no you can't, but you can make like a duo drive and then you can keep playing, etc. So it really is the exact same as if you were playing regular Ryzeal, but it's a win more in a way. It also gets you like way more interruptions and you don't really have to neg or anything. Honestly, it's kind of filthy. If you can play this engine in the OCG, well, to be fair, people are playing so many hand shabs that, you know, if you just draw like one brick and you get heavily punished, it's probably not worth it. But circular, I think, is actually not too bad to draw, even though it doesn't really do anything on its own because there's no Sigma, it just special summons itself. The other two Mathmechs are little dog shit, like absolute garbage. They do nothing. They're all Garnets. Diameter, you can argue like over time. If you also have like circular, it's actually not bad. As a matter of fact, if you draw circular and diameter, it's cracked, but any other combination is shit. And I'm not really going to be going over any other deck list. I mean, Despia Lawnwing, that's interesting. This deck is like heavily teched out to beat Ryzeal. Book of Eclipse main deck, Forbidden Droplet, no hand shops other than Maxi. Xyz on Core in the side deck, no Ultimate Slayer. I will be going over Xyz on Core and all the other board breakers in a video in the future, so keep an eye out on that one. Apart from that, nothing interesting. So yeah, let's get into the OCG metagame breakdown. So this time, Ryzeal has only 26.2% representation in the top cut. In top performing events. Yeah, 206 out of 39 tournaments during the span of like 8 days or something. Maliss second place. So there's also not even that much of a gap between them anymore. I do remember when the gap was massive, like 36.6, 11, and then before that it was 44.3 and Maliss 13.8. Yeah, it was getting demolished. And even before, yeah, 40.6, 13.8. Now Ryzeal is not even, it's not even that it's seeing less play, because even when I'm looking at like the big events, it's still Ryzeal that is dominating in top cut. So don't go thinking that Ryzeal is going anywhere. It's just that people are trying out new things. This is also translating in the OCG like live matches that I'm watching, which by the way, I do plan on potentially making like a Patreon or something where I'll be making like live reaction videos just like I used to, but just on there, so I can't get like illegally copyright strike like I did before. But yeah, anyways, Maliss second, and then Blue Eyes third best deck. It's actually really nice to see Blue Eyes being, you know, taking up 10% of top cut spots. That is insane, but it also makes a lot of sense because Blue Eyes is a deck that is very good into Ryzeal. It's a deck that can play tons of hand shops, like infinite hand shops. It can play Dominus Purge. So Maliss, even though it can't play Dominus Impulse and it can play Shifter, it doesn't matter because none of these cards are great against Ryzeal. But Blue Eyes, it can play the hand shops that do hurt Ryzeal like Dominus Purge, and it can still play, you know, Ash, Ogre, Veiler. Well, Veiler is like Exodian Blue Eyes because you play like 35 Veilers. Your engine searches Veiler. It's really nice. So yeah, Blue Eyes I think is a great deck, and there's also a lot of nice ways of playing the deck. But I think the most competitive version of Blue Eyes that I've seen so far is the Primate Blue Eyes version. So if you're on a budget, it's actually funny how it doesn't affect you negatively because Magia, the big fusion, is not even seeing play anyways. And yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, speaking of the devil, 18 Primate Blue Eyes out of 20, and then 1 regular Blue Eyes. I don't know what that means. And then White Forest Blue Eyes, which is actually very interesting because you can turn your little White Forest monsters into the Spirit of Eyes of Blue, the Link one. Is it Spirit of Eyes of Blue? Whatever, the Link one that searches the field spell, etc. It's cool. There are nice things that you can do, but there's also, I don't know, do you really need to play the White Forest engine? I don't think it really adds adds that much to the strategy. You can also play like the Invoked engine in Blue Eyes. That's also kind of interesting, but whatever. Sorry, Atlantian. That's also another very interesting deck. The new support from Supreme Darkness is not too bad. It makes the deck a little better going second, but going first, I don't think it adds anything. And the deck might have consistency issues going into like a Ryzeal format or something. If you start playing like a lot of hand traps to like counteract that, I don't think it's worth it. I think Atlantian is a great deck. I think it's like in the top maybe 10 to 15 best decks, but I think 4th best deck is a little unrealistic. I don't think it's going to stabilize at that position. Anyway, Snake-Eye. It's actually funny how even if you limit every single Snake-Eye card, it doesn't change anything because you're almost trying to play them as one-ofs anyways, especially because of the White Forest as a Mina engine. It really bridges everything perfectly. But yeah, White Forest again, right? I feel like these two decks are literally the exact same because the variation is microscopic. Like, it's one of them you play with Snake-Eye cards, the other one you don't, but it's still White Forest as a Mina something. This one, I guess, Fiendsmith, and this one, Snake-Eye, but for the most part, the decks are, in terms of playstyle, they're identical, honestly. So you can argue that this is probably like the 3rd real best deck in the OCG. Voice's Voice, it's actually funny how I keep seeing Voice's Voice take up like whatever percent of Top Cup representation, like 5% here, but I swear to God, I never see this deck do really well at events. I don't understand why. It never goes really deep in Top Cut. Like, it gets like a top 64 or something, top 32, and that's about it. And I think in the TCG, we have the same problem with Voice's Voice. I don't think I remember the last time I saw Voice's Voice get like 2nd or 3rd or top 8 at a YCS. It doesn't really happen. People lose very early in Top Cut with a deck like this. I think Voice's Voice, low-key, as hilarious as this may sound, I actually think it gets even better during Ryzeal format. It's a deck that can play Dominus Purge, which again really matters. Card's great against Ryzeal, whereas again Dominus Impulse isn't. Anyways, Memento, it's also a very good deck. I think this format, like in the TCG, it's not great because going second you have huge issues against like Yubel and Snake Eyes because you can't play a lot of hand shops, but it's a very consistent deck. It loses to Shifter, obviously, but it is what it is. So yeah, the 10 by Dragon matchup, not too great because you're losing 1/3 of your games by default to Shifter. Centurion, whatever, don't really care about that. 10 by Dragon, Yubel, Lanmoing, Despia, Labyrinth, very good deck, by the way. Christian, also very good deck. Labyrinth, I actually think should be like in the top 5, to be honest. I think that deck has a really solid Ryzeal matchup, depending on how people choose to play it. Trickstar attack, and what even is this? And then a lot of Fiendsmith decks, okay, even though they're, for the most part, not really great. Goblin Biker is like a scam deck. It doesn't even top anything anymore. It was good for like the first weekend because I guess people were like detaching materials from like Detonator and stuff like that going second, so they were throwing their Ryzeal opponents off, but now everybody knows what the Goblin Biker cards do, and honestly, as a deck, it really has issues. Like, and I say this as a big Goblin Biker fan, by the way. I have a lot of hours experience with this deck. It's not perfect, it's far from bad. Also really nice to see Gladiator Beast in 2024. Primate Tenyi Sword Soul, very interesting, because I wasn't predicting the Primate engine to be good in Tenyi Sword Soul, but okay. Unfortunate to see that it's not really doing much better, especially since Protoss is a thing. Anyways, so yeah, Dimension Shifter is seeing a return in the side deck just because, you know, it's a great card. It's really good against a bunch of decks. Blue Eyes loses to Shifter, Mermail, Snake-Eye, White First, Memento, all those decks, they get demolished by Shifter, and also most of those decks, they also lose to Retaliating Sea. It's pretty much the same thing for the most part, and by the way, this is not some random garbage text that Akira made up just to like sell this article, because I have watched OCG matches, and I do this religiously every single day, by the way. That's how I practice for upcoming formats, and that's the way I think I'm really like kind of ahead of the curve for Ryzeal format. I think it's a really interesting format. I've been seeing so many Retaliating Seas now in the side deck. I see like a Memento player activate the Memento Fusion, gets hit by Retaliating Sea. The game's over like 30 seconds after it. It really hurts a lot. You lose your Memento Fusion, your Conqueror King, whatever, it doesn't send anything to the graveyard. It's so bad. Retaliating Sea really hurts the deck so much. Yeah, this is also a very interesting build, by the way. I just realized it's kind of like a hybrid between a hand traps, trap cards, and board breakers on the side deck. Metal Tronius and evenly matched. It's interesting because when you're playing evenly, you have to like not play the hand traps, because the hand traps, they make it so that your opponent makes like Detonator pass. But then with evenly, the issue is you want your opponent to overcommit so that you can punish him for doing so with evenly, and then you have other board breakers. So evenly is good in tandem with other board breakers, but it's really, really bad in tandem with hand traps. I don't think that this is the correct configuration. You really need like more thought into it. Maliss, okay, this is, I think, getting more standard, by the way, because Book of Eclipse used to be kind of like a tech card on the side. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. Every single Maliss deck that I'm seeing now plays 3 Book of Eclipse because this deck is utter garbage at beating Ryzeal Detonator going second. It literally has a 0% chance of beating it. Like, I'm actually not even joking. You go normal summon Dormouse effect, you get popped, you summon a White Rabbit effect. This is going to be in Chainlink 1, Aggregator is going to be negating at Chainlink 2, you lose the game, and that's it. Yeah, that's already over. You already lose in 2 seconds. Like, I swear to God, you lose before the game even starts if you go second and your opponent successfully summons a Detonator. So even if you have like the small hand traps to like stop the duo drive, it doesn't really matter too much. So sometimes you even want a hand trap like the small guys, because if your opponent has the extender, it is what it is. You were losing those games anyways. Shifter, I still don't understand why people are main decking it. I guess it's because of the other decks, because yeah, exactly as Akira says here, Dimension Shifter is really good against the decks that are not Ryzeal or Maliss, because Ryzeal does not lose to Shifter. People still don't understand this. I've had a lot of people say, oh, Shifter is a card that hard counters Ryzeal completely. Where did you get that information? I swear to God, Ryzeal plays Shifter better than Maliss does, because when Maliss uses Shifter, 90% of their extra deck becomes irrelevant. All they can really do is like SP Hearts of Cryptor or like White Binder and like almost nothing, honestly. It's only good, I think, if you're going first, because then you can also loop the Shifter and then shift your opponent again and again and again. But when you're going second, you're shifting your opponent to do literally nothing going second, and then you pass back and then your opponent is no longer under Shifter and then you die. But yeah, it's still a card that has to be in your side deck somewhere. So we're only seeing 3 Bestials, so obviously only 1 Shashir Cat. That makes sense. My spreadsheet video that I've uploaded yesterday had 3 Shashir Cats, 6 Bestials. I've explained it. When you're playing multiple Shashir Cats, the card is usually a brick, unless you are playing so many Bestials that you can just go normal summon, make Link Decoder, banish it, summon a Bestial, and then you got 3 bodies on the field, and then you can make Red Ransom, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, etc. blah blah. So that's pretty much full combo. Yeah, nothing of value to be seen in the side deck. The Blue Eyes deck, yeah, okay, so this deck, I do have a few things I want to explain, but I also will be making a video on it, so stay tuned. This is the level 1 Light Tuner that you can summon off of Roar or the Load, and you have a lot of starters in this deck. So you got 3 Maiden, 3 Sage, 3 Another Barrel. Another Barrel can set your Lordly Load, and then Load can search either Drill Beam or Roar. Roar is Unexpected Die, and Drill Beam is an Omni Negate if you can either reveal a level 5 or higher normal monster in your hand, or if you control one on your field, or if you got like a Primate monster on the field, but usually the Another Barrel is not gonna stay there. So yeah, this is starter, this is starter, starter, and then Prayers is a starter. There's no Bingo Machine or no Neo Kaiser Seahorse in this deck. Less consistency cards. So I'm seeing like, what, 15 actual 1-card starters, but then you also have like other ways of eventually playing the game, which is kind of fine. There are weird ways of getting your engine started. It's just really stupid, but I guess if you have like double Veiler, that also makes like a Spirit with Eyes of Blue. It's not great, but whatever. And you can also hard draw the True Light. That's also not bad. It eventually gets your stuff going, like I said. Everything else is just a bunch of cards that hurt the opponent. So yeah, 3 Ash, 2 Maxi, double Veiler. So that's 7, 10, 13 hand traps. 13 is actually not too much in Blue Eyes, but this deck is very, very naturally good going second. It's super resilient to hand traps. I've seen replays on this OCG channel where the guy was getting hit by like triple hand traps and he could still end on like 3 hard-made interruptions, because what are you gonna do? Like nib, drill the opponent, like the Blue Eyes deck, they can still set cards very easily because they can use Maiden to place the True Light and then True Light effect to set the Majesty or whatever, the trap card. So again, you get like an interruption through drill, and then the Another Barrel can set the Omni Negate. So yeah, you got a lot of nice ways of beating drill. Nibiru also not too bad because you're still setting trap cards, or the Ultimate Fusion, which can also destroy cards, so that can also be an interruption. It's a great deck, especially in the right hands. I really truly believe in this deck's potential. It's not a deck that is just doing well because it's a fan favorite. It really is a good deck. So again, when I hype the shit out of a deck, it's because I believe it. I'm not full of shit, but yeah. The side deck, by the way, I've already covered this, but Ultimate Slayer, Artifact Atlantian, and Dimensional Bearer, these cards are in absolutely everyone's side deck. Like, there's just no exception. Okay, never mind. This one is not playing it, okay. But still, every other deck list that I'm seeing, it's just the same thing. Always the same cards because they're good, man. Artifact Lancia, I think, maybe might phase out just because it's only truly unfair against, like, Maliss. Apart from that, it's not really good against, like, any of these other decks, But yeah, against Maliss, it is broken. And also, it is kind of easy to search, so I do feel really bad for Maliss. They get super bullied by a searchable card, especially if you play the Archfiend Seraph rank 5 monster in Ryzeal. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.